Hey everyone, welcome back to another deep dive.
Yeah.
We do all kinds of things every single day. We learn, we work, we play. But have you ever stopped to think about, what's actually going on in our brains when we're learning something new?
Well, it turns out there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Right. It's not just about, practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
There's a whole science behind it.
Exactly. It's all about psychology and, how our brains are wired. And today we're going to dive deep into some really cool research on something called behavior chains to see how that plays a role.
Okay, so behavior chains. Let's start with this excerpt here. It says, even something as simple as a baby learning to drink from a bottle is actually like a series of learned steps. Kind of wild when you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. See, psychologists who study learning, they understand that behaviors are built up in these tiny little increments, almost like building blocks, that form a chain.
So with the baby in the bottle, the research talks about how a baby goes from needing help just to hold the bottle to eventually being able to grasp it and drink all on their own. It's crazy how they figure that out.
Think of it like a chain link fence, right? Each
Oh,
link is essential for the overall structure to work.
yeah, that makes sense. And we don't just stop learning these chains as babies. As adults, we do all sorts of complicated things without even thinking about it.
Oh, absolutely. Like picking up a glass and taking a drink, you don't even have to think about it. You just do it. That's a learned behavior chain in action, and it happens all the time. But there's a catch. If you change even one link in that chain,
Things can get messed up.
exactly, it can disrupt the whole action. Like, if you try to type with a broken finger, it throws everything off.
Oh, for sure. And this research actually brings up another great example.
Yeah.
The golf swing. Now, I know a lot of you out there are golfers, so picture this. You're on the tee, ready to take your shot. The swing feels like one smooth, effortless movement.
Right, but under the surface, there's so much more going on.
So much more, right? What exactly is happening with these behavior chains during a golf swing?
So a golf swing, you can actually break it down into, pre-swing, in-swing, and post-swing chains. And each of those has its own set of behaviors all linked together.
Okay, I'm following.
Now, here's the key takeaway. The quality of your overall swing, it completely depends on the strength of every single link in each of those chains.
Yeah, so even a tiny little mistake can mess everything up.
Oh, absolutely. Just one weak link, like maybe you've got a shaky grip or your stance is a bit off, even those small things can really throw off your entire swing. A lot of golfers, they spend hours and hours trying to perfect their swing, but they kind of forget about the pre-swing setup.
Right, you gotta start strong.
Exactly. That setup, it's a foundational link in the whole chain.
So it's all about building that solid foundation, one link at a time, right? It's like if one link breaks, the whole chain falls apart, just like that.
Exactly. One weak link can create this chain reaction that throws everything off.
Okay, so we've seen how behavior chains work with, physical actions like drinking from a bottle or swinging a golf club. But what about, mental tasks? Do these chains play a role in how we learn new information or maybe even break a bad habit?
Absolutely. It's the same principle. Let's say you're trying to learn a new language. Think about all the steps involved. You start with basic vocabulary, right? Then you move on to grammar, then sentence structure, and so on. Each of those steps, it builds upon the one before it, and together they create this chain that ultimately leads to fluency.
That makes sense.
And breaking a bad habit, it's a similar idea. The first step is to really understand the individual behaviors that make up that habit chain, break it down. And once you've done that, you can start working on either disrupting those links or maybe even replacing them with something else.
Wow, I never thought about it that way before. It makes you wonder just how many of these chains are running in the background of our brains all the time without us even realizing it.
It's countless from, you know, something as simple as brushing our teeth to driving a car. These chains are constantly at work. They're like the invisible framework that guides our actions.
That's amazing. So the more we understand about behavior chains, the better we can get at learning and improving and really just achieving our goals.
Exactly. It's all connected.
So the next time you're struggling with something, it doesn't matter if it's a physical task or a mental one, try breaking it down into those smaller steps, those individual links in the chain,
Yep. Find those weak spots.
and focus on making them stronger. It can make all the difference.
It really could. And, it makes you think, if actions that seem really simple are actually these super complex chains of behavior, what does that tell us about how our thoughts and emotions work?
It's definitely something to think about.
It really is.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, keep those chains strong.